And hello. Welcome to the Absolute Football Podcast. It's the summer, but we ain't going anywhere. We're going to be talking football to the end of time. There's always football. There's always something to talk about. And of course, what a team I've got together. What a selection. If Gareth Southgate had a headache, no, it was easy tonight because what a squad. What a squad. No one's angry about any of the selections we've got here. To my left is a man that we haven't done any content for a while, Grimmy, so I'm very excited for you to be on. We have Grimmy, of course, the best beard in Blythe. How are you doing, Grimmy?
I don't know about that. You should see some of the ones that I see walking around. Yeah, I'm doing great, mate. Thanks very much for having us on again. Didn't think it would be this quick a turnaround, but pleased to be here.
It's good to have you on. There's plenty to talk about. So we needed you for that. Of course, not just Grimmy. Rebecca's back again. Rebecca is just podcasting for us, left, right, and centre, covering the whole lot. How have you been? How are you getting on, Rebecca?
I am good, thank you. Excited to be back on. Feel like I'm on every week again now, but did have a mishap with the computer, so it is iPad today.
This is it. We're just making do. It's how we do it. It's how Everton are doing it at the minute with it. So we've got the weekly takeover update from Rebecca as well, because that's certainly a story that's going. Of course, we've gone prime time. Gav Mack is here, of course. We're very happy to have Gav back. How are you, sir? And welcome back to the pod.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you very much. Living the dream. Good to see you all as well. Looking forward to this Euro chat because we're nearly there. Less than a week away.
It's not far, is it? I was saying to Grimmy off, it seems to have snuck up this season. I don't know. Usually there's a big build-up. I feel it's snuck up a little bit. Do you feel the same?
I was just saying the other day, I'm a little bit upset the lack of live sport over the next week up until that point, so it's not creeping up on me at all. I'm just getting anxious with the wait now. It's getting to that point.
Just get it started. Well, now the French Open's finished, because that's kind of covered me for the last week. I'm now like, football.
Which is unreal, by the way.
Oh, something else, yeah. Alcaraz. Say, if this was a podcast of an Alcaraz running about for 3.5 hours, we'd be on as long as the lower league show. He's incredible.
I do feel sorry for Zverev though. On that, I know it's a football chat, but I do feel sorry for him because I feel like he's Bayer Leverkusen from 2002. Just the nearly men, always hanging around, not able to get it over the line. I was actually at the US Open final when he was 2 sets up against Rafa Nadal. And it was the opening day of the NFL season that year as well, at that time as well. So I was looking forward to going back to like Times Square, find a good boozer, watch Red Zone from the beginning. And Nadal came back. We didn't get back to Times Square till like nearly midnight. So
never write Nadal off. Yeah, you do feel a bit, to be fair, for sure. When it is the nearly man syndrome, and you just wonder how much he's come back from that horrific injury. So I suppose that's something he can take. And Alcaraz is something else. But whether he'll be the only Spanish celebration this summer, we will get to that. Don't you worry. So shall we kick off? Let's kick off with things closer to home. Euro 2024 obviously kicks off on Friday, with Scotland versus Germany. But we'll start with England. England have made this. Should we start with the squad and then we'll talk about how they're set? Rebecca is ready. All day she said, I'm ready. I have something I want to say. So Rebecca, the floor is yours. What do you want to say to Gareth Southgate in particular?
I've got 2 words. Jared Branthwaite. A lot of people may disagree, but in my personal opinion, I do not know how he hasn't made it to the squad. When Gareth Southgate says all the time, I look at form in terms of players, like I won't pick anyone who's not in form for club. You look at the best English centre-backs in the league, the 2 main names there are James Tarkowski and Jared Branthwaite. And neither have been selected. But in terms of the defence he has taken, I am not criticising the defence. I'm not getting at any player in particular. This is just me saying Jared should be there in terms of... Southgate has also said he doesn't want to take players that are a liability with injury. So that is why we've seen Harry Maguire have to take the setback that he has. But Luke Shaw is still in the team. Even with all the controversy that's surrounding him at the moment, he's not played since February. You've got John Stones that has only played 1 match since March. Jared played a full season for us, apart from once when he was suspended, I think. And as the stats say, he is one of the, if not the best English centre back at the moment. So for him to get dropped is baffling. For him not to start the first match as well is confusing, because I saw the friendlies to be a case of, let's put some players that wouldn't usually play into the team and see what happens. And he came on for 10, 15 minutes. But it's one of them. How Jared isn't on that team sheet, how he isn't on his way to Germany, still baffles me now.
For me, I would always say partnerships are so key in football. Chemistry is so key. Everton going forwards have been toilet this year, let's be honest. But defensively have been one of the most consistent defenses in the Premier League. I think they had like the fourth most clean sheets, or third most. They've got Pickford in goal. England will always play with Pickford in goal unless he's injured, or throwaway caps like Ramsdale got the other day, which I thought was a stupid decision in my opinion. But what you said there, Rebecca, about Tarky and about Branthwaite, if you want comfort, loyalty, consistency in your back four, then why not go with that partnership? I understand that John Stones is going to be the guy, but John Stones, he's only played 17 or 18 Premier League games this season. Gay, as you mentioned, only played one game since whenever. You've then got Walker or Trent. You play either or. And then for me, if Trippier, well, I don't really like the idea of wrong-footed players playing in fullback positions. So then you got Jared Branthwaite, who plays left-sided centre-half. He's a left-footed player. So, and I think, correct me if I'm wrong, he's filled in at left-back a couple of times this season as well, has he not?
I think so, yeah.
So worst-case scenario, play him left-back. Play him left-back. You've then got someone who's fit, who understands what's going on. I think it's a really bad decision. Tarkowski not even being in the 33, and Jared Branthwaite going home. I think is a bad decision.
It's also not like, if you look at the names he's picked as centre back outside of Stones, there's not a lot of international experience there. So you can't say that he's gone because there's the nous of that person. They're all, Gahey's not played too much. He's played probably, I think, the most out of them. You've got Dunk. I mean, I've got question marks at Dunk at international level. I think it's a different kind of game. I'm not sure it suits him. And as we say, I'll come to you, Grimmy, obviously, because Luke Shaw, we've seen Luke Shaw come in and come out a little bit this season at Manchester United. But I don't know what you think. Shaw is always very difficult when he returns. It takes him some time to get back up to speed. And it's tournament football. There is no time. You've got the group stage you're hoping to sail through. Is that a big worry for you, knowing what you know about Shaw coming back from injury?
Yeah, I mean, if you look at his history over the past, ever since he's been at United, he's struggled to get over 30 games a season. I think there's only like a couple of times when he's had a full season really without injury, and even during then he's picked up a little knock here or there. And I just think that, like you say, going into a tournament, you want your players to all be firing on all cylinders, regardless of what position they're in. I mean, left back, I think England as a whole are a little bit short. And I think I agree with what Gav was saying about playing Branthwaite on the left. I've seen him play there a couple of times and he's looked absolutely fine. And to be fair, I think with the other three defenders we'd have and the defensive cover he'd probably have in front of him, he'd probably be well protected as well. So, but going back to the Shaw thing, seeing how he comes back from United from a long-term injury, I don't necessarily have the hope that he's going to come back and be sharp straight away. I know we had a similar thing. I can't remember if it was the last tournament. I can't remember if it was the World Cup or if it was the last Euros when Walker was injured going in. But he came back. When he came back at the end of the groups, he was on the ball straight away, and it was like he'd been playing for the past few weeks. But I just don't see that happening with Shaw. I think it will take him a while, and to even see remotely the type of player Shaw can be, I think we need to go far into the tournament and hope that he gets some appearances in and good minutes at that without having a reoccurrence of whatever knocks he's picked up over the season, really.
And that's the worry, isn't it? Because he's had that long-term injury, and that was February. They kind of rushed him back too soon, and he kind of had that dip out of. I mean, Gav, who are you starting at left back? If Shaw's definitely, are you going to go with Shaw because that's the only option, or do you think there's a better option?
I think the only real option that you could go for is Trippier, and the reason why is because he's done it. We've seen him do it for England, and we've also seen him do it for England in competitions, in tournaments, and the amount of experience that the guy's had as well. He played in one of the better Spurs teams over the last few years, which hurts me to say that. He's also been able to do it, be able to play regular games for a Champions League chasing position. Newcastle, obviously this season's a little bit different, but he did it the season before, and he's also played abroad. He's played on the continent. He's played against different types of teams. He hasn't just played against Premier League teams, and I find that really important. And this is one of the reasons why I'm a little bit annoyed that Tomori hasn't gone. I've got my own agenda on Tomori anyway, not for him, but more the Southgate on him. I feel that when Southgate goes, we're going to see more Tomori. We're going to see more Ben White. And the thing with Tomori, he's playing abroad anyway, so he gets to see a different type of football. He's played in the Premier League. He understands that. He's also played in European competitions as well and understands how that works. So I think something like that. That's why I see Trippier being in that position. The only other option, which would be disgusting if it did happen, would be if England reverted to a back three again and then play Saka as a left wing back. But who wants to see that?
Yeah, that's panic. That's panic stations, isn't it? Where he's the only way you could see him maybe doing is say if needs must, and the fact that we do have different attacking options, but you're just nullifying Saka, aren't you, and creating another problem by it's a square peg in a round hole to create another problem, I think, isn't it? Elsewhere in the squad, guys, I mean, did Grimmy, anybody else in the squad you were happy, surprised, disappointed wasn't in?
I can't really say in terms of being disappointed, because I think midfield and forward line, it's kind of a toss-up of different options, and we've got a lot of different options on the wings and going forward. And I think midfield and forwards are sort of our strength. I think defense is where we're pretty short, in my opinion, of where we could be because of injuries and things like that. But yeah, I can't really complain with the forward line. I think that forward line's probably going to be a mixture of Foden, Kane, Palmer, and Saka, depending on what he wants to go with. Because, like you're saying, I hope it's not a back five. I hope it's a back four, so we do have best foot going forward. And yeah, my main concern is what he's going to do with Bellingham, whether he's going to let Bellingham take the handbrake off a little bit and play like he does for Madrid and go forward and be able to contribute up there. But yeah, I think personally for me, midfielders and forwards, I think it's a case we look pretty strong there. It's just hopefully you don't get any surprise injuries along the way and then lose out on a Kane, because I know Kane had a bit of a back injury or back issue, I should say, towards the end of the season. But I think even in Tony and Watkins, we've got two good backups there, which we haven't had before usually. So yeah, for me, I'm pretty happy with what we've got going forward, really.
There's a couple of things going forwards which I'm questioning, but semi-excited to see at the same time. You mentioned Bellingham, Grimmy, because like the second half of the season in La Liga in particular, Bellingham has been playing in a bit more withdrawn role. So, and everyone knows what Bellingham can do. Like in the first half of the season, everyone's banging on about him because of the amount of goals he scored, but that's not his role. His role isn't to do that. He's a midfielder. You know, everyone said, "Oh, he's a number 10," which I hate that terminology anyway. But he is the complete midfielder. So having to pigeonhole him into playing in behind Harry Kane, I think is a little bit unfair from the British media, from football media as a whole. So for me, I want to see a 4-3-3. I want to see Rice and Bellingham in the midfield alongside a Foden, but I want Foden to be free. But nobody is talking about the potential of Ollie Watkins and Harry Kane starting the game, and Ollie Watkins playing out on the left, because we know how quick he is. We know he can hold a ball up. We know he can beat a man. We also know he can cut inside. And when you see him for Villa, he does drift out to the left on many occasions. He scored against us, drifting out to the left and cutting inside and scoring. And the way that Harry Kane dips into those pockets of space, he's not your out and out number 9. He's not that guy. You know, you will see him everywhere, covering almost every blade of grass. So if Harry Kane does come a little bit deeper, who better than to have someone like Ollie Watkins, who's got 19 goals and 12 assists, move forward into that sort of centre forward position, cutting in from the left?
It'd be nice to see some of these hybrid changes, and I just think, does Southgate see it? Does he take the chance with one or two of these things, or is he? Are we going to get that kind of safe? This guy I know can play here, and are we going to be nuanced enough? I mean, we'll come to some more bits in a minute. Just say hello. A few people in the chat. Welcome to Simon's in this evening as well. Welcome to Mr. Luke as well. I'll meet everybody. Hello, Mr. Luke. Thank you for joining us. Rebecca, are you excited? Where's your level of confidence with England? Obviously, you're a bit younger than the rest of us. You've not had the same heartbreak and hopes dashed as we have over the years. You're fairly fresh to the disappointment. Do you think that we're going to put it all together? Do you think that Southgate is going to find these combinations to get us across the line?
No. I mean, I'm still bitter about Jared not being in team, so I don't think I'm the one to ask this question, to be honest.
Becca's sod the Euros. You know, Jared needs caps. Never mind all this trophy business.
Yeah, it is what it is. Jared's not there. I'm just finding someone else to support. No. I mean, it is, in some cases, it is an exciting team. I mean, seeing Ollie Watkins, Eberezer, and players like that, like young and upcoming talent in terms of them coming into the side, and it doesn't seem as stubborn this time in like who he's picked, because you always knew like certain individuals were going to be included. So it's to see, no offense, like of Jordan Henderson not be included. It was a shock at the beginning, but then you're like, he's had his time in a way in the England squad, in my opinion. No offense to any Liverpool fans out there. But yeah, in terms of the team, it's an iffy one, as we've said, with the lack of left backs if Luke Shaw isn't available. And then I don't really know what to say, to be honest. It is what it is. But one name that I was shocked to see not included in like the original 33 with Dominic Solanke. I feel as
nah, fuck him.
I feel as
Even because he'd be able to score 100 goals in non-league football. Fuck, come off it, man. Honestly.
Is that what the text said from Southgate as well?
No, yeah. Well, that's what it says. Sorry, mate, but piss off.
It's an interesting one, Solanke one, isn't it? I suppose you got Tony, you got Watkins as well, so there was always going to be that kind of too many strikers, isn't it? I suppose for Dom Solanke. The 33 is always a funny one for me, because there's just some in there. You're just like, some of them are sat there going, just let me go on holiday, for crying out loud. I'm not making the 26. I get having standbys and injuries, but 33 seems a little bit too many. But sort of form-wise, going into the tournament, we've obviously had the Iceland game. Gav, are you worried by what you saw in the Iceland? Or do you think, players have been out for a few weeks trying to put stuff together? When the medal comes, we'll start to put it together in the groups?
It'd just be nice to see players play with freedom. I'm actually quite sick of football nowadays anyway, if I'm honest. Like, I think it's because of how old I am. You know, I'm in my, like, I was still going to class it as mid-30s. Soon to be late, but it's definitely mid. And historically, we've been able to see players that stand out and have character. And that's why it's so exciting when we do see the likes of Phil Foden, who's like almost like a street footballer, you know. But every team plays pretty much the same football. As you guys know, a ref, right? And I've seen like academies. Not even academies. I've even seen Sunday morning football. Let's pop the ball down soft and play it out from the back at goal, like from the goalkeeper on bobbly pitches with dog shit all over them. You know, everyone's trying to play the same style of football, and it's almost like we've got, for once, a time where there are some character footballers playing for England right now, and they've just been put into this system. where they're all doing the same thing. How many times have we seen Phil Foden this season slap the ball from X amount of yards out? He scored 6 goals from outside the box for City this year, but he's also had many more opportunities where he could have scored or at least got a load of shots on target. That game against Iceland, how many times was he on the edge of the box and he's looking to pass it again? What's that about? Like, that is not being allowed to play with freedom. And until that changes, there's no chance England are going to win anything.
Do you think there's a chance that maybe some of the players themselves, where because people like Foden's now won everything, Bellingham's won the Champions League, they're going to get to a point and they're going to go, you know what, screw it. Because there's games in tournaments, isn't there, that needs moments and needs someone to grab it. Do you think there's the potential that some of those big players go, you know what, sod it, I'm supposed to pass this out wide, but I'm going to unleash one?
Well, if that was going to be the case, wouldn't we not seen it over the last 7/8 years? I think the best England performance that I've seen in the last few tournaments for 90 minutes was actually a defeat against France. I think that's the only time England actually really looked like they wanted it and they were going for it. I don't care about games against Panama and games against like Iran. That's not standing out. These elite nations should be beating those teams comfortably. When it comes to playing against teams that are in your division, if you want to call it that, it takes a level of X factor. And that's the only game where I've seen England be like, right, we've got nothing to lose, let's go for it. And unfortunately, like if Kane scores that pen, different conversation altogether, innit? But like, I understand that teams like Iceland, which they did, will sit back, banks, 2 banks of 4, sometimes 2 banks of 5. But that's when you need someone like a Foden who is going to be able to just bang it from 25 yards. Didn't do it. Cole Palmer, how many goals he scored from outside the box this season? How many opportunities has he had to score from outside the box or even thread a pass or do something? Where was that on Monday? It was nowhere to be seen. Friday, whatever day it was. It was nowhere to be seen. So I don't hold much hope for England in this competition at all.
I think the group is going to be a couple of those games, isn't it, that are going to be that kind of defensive. And as you say, maybe later on, but it's for me, it's the belief, and I mean the belief of the collective groups, because there's belief in the players, the individual players. We know how quality some of them are, but we've had quality players over the years. Let's not forget. And then when it comes together, that collection doesn't believe in themselves together. They, as you say, they maybe get stuck by a system. That's certainly been the case in the past with some of the ridiculous systems we were playing with some of the players that we had. But I mean, Grimmy, man of positivity. Is there any positivity to take? Is there any chance that come sort of mid-July we'll be going, what are we worrying about? Let's all get the waistcoats back out.
I mean, the squad's good enough. Like, I don't think that's up for debate in terms of the ability to get goals out of that team should clearly be there. Like I've saying, they just need to be able to play freely and without having to worry about if they're going to make a pass. Is it going to end up in the back of the net on the other side of the goal? But it's just, again, my key word with Southgate is handbrake. If he takes the handbrake off and lets us play, I think we'll be fine. It's England. Can we ever be confident of us winning a tournament? We haven't won one since '66, so I don't know if I could ever say I'll be confident of it. But like, I'm confident we'll get out the group. Famous last words. Clip that when we get knocked out of the group with a 3 miserable 0-0 draws. But like, I still think we should be getting out of the group and into like the latter stages. Really, it's again, if we come up against the France, who are sort of the favourites going in. Well, they're my favourites anyway. Certainly the strongest squad, top to bottom, going into it. I think if we come up against the France, I think we might struggle with that defence. But again, we have enough going forward to be able to compete with anybody, I think. So for me, I don't see why we can't go far, but again, it's whether Southgate lets us play the way we need to play and takes that handbrake off. That's the big question for me.
Sorry, Grammy, can you start that again? I missed that because I was getting some more supplies.
Basically, just take the handbrake off and we'll win it.
Grimmy said we're winning it. It's already done, guys.
Yeah, 5-0 every game.
Don't even watch it.
It's coming home.
Grimmy's flag's out. The Simon says the squad's good enough to win a tournament. The manager isn't, which is I think that's a kind of a feel where we're all kind of at the moment, but we are where we're at.
I think what they should do, I think England should do an Ivory Coast from AFCON and just sack the gaffer like after a couple of days, and then just get someone in to close it out, and like go get Klopp for a laugh.
Just go.
Klopp for England in Germany winning it. How funny would that be?
Could you imagine? We'd all be converted. To be honest, since he's left Liverpool and he started doing TikToks of his racquetball career, or whatever it is, his pickleball, I'm a fan now. Now he's left Liverpool, I'm quite intrigued on how his pickleball's getting on. It's different levels. So on to the rest of the tournament, because obviously England, we mentioned France. How's everyone feeling about France? They're pretty strong. Any names other than France that you think? I know, Gav, you've got a sort of a particular favourite in mind already.
Yeah, I'm a closet German. There's no two ways about it. Everyone knows it. Anyone who knows me knows it. And I feel like this time last year, if you'd said that Germany would be in with a shout of winning the competition, I think everybody would laugh and be like, "Who? Are you sure?" A team that can't even get, like, they got to the semi-finals of Euro 2016, having just won the World Cup in 2014, not got out of a group stage of a World Cup since, and like. Then, England beat them in the last Euros, and that was quite a lackluster performance from Deutschland as well. Since then, there's been a bit of change, and there's not many superstars in there. A bit like Italy, if you realise, like when they won it, who looked at the Italy side and said, "Poor, fancy them"? Nobody did. There's no superstars. They had a decent gaffer and a load of lads that really want to play for the badge. And that's exactly what Germany is right now. They've got a young gaffer who's actually a day older than me. So this is what I'm saying. I am still
Very young gaffer. Young gaffer.
I am young then, right? We're having that. Lovely. Thank you. And yeah, players that are picked by form rather than name, and players that are desperate to do right by the shirt. They've got like two players for every position, a bit like Portugal. I'm sure we'll talk about them later. And they're playing some good football. And I just really feel that Germany could take it to Zuhause.
There's a lot of talent in there, as you said. No sort of superstars as you've kind of had in the past, but I mean, it showed really, didn't it? I mean, Pascal Gross is the perfect example, isn't he? Someone who'd never had a cap, and they went, "You're playing well. You'll fit us. You'll fit what we want to do." And you can't. 7 caps he's played now. Yeah,
and he can play in every single position. Someone that no one's really spoken about because of that game where Kai Havertz played, like, filled in at left back, left wing back, because everyone just assumed that Round was going to be starting left back, or I can't remember his name now, top of my head. But then Mittelstadt is at Stuttgart. Great left back. He could do what you need him to do. Stuttgart just came second in the Bundesliga. There was they only just survived the relegation playoff game in the previous season and then nabbed themselves into second spot. And defensively they've been great. He's been part of that. Kai Havertz is getting himself into form. Florian Wirtz has had a season of seasons. He's got the confidence of whatever, 52 games, 51 without defeat, winning 2 trophies at that time. His confidence is sky high. Musiala, despite Bayern falling off as people make out, Bayern have actually had quite a good season in terms of forward play. They've still scored a bag load of goals. They've still been looking really good going forwards. It's defensively where they've had their issues. You've got serial winners in there like Gundo. You've still got Toni Kroos, who's just won the Champions League, and he's going to want to sign out in fashion.
Yeah.
Schlotterbeck just come off the he had a bloody good game in that Champions League final as centre half. And even though Dortmund didn't have a great season, he did. There's a lot of good players in that Germany side, and I believe that Nagelsmann could get them together and make things happen.
There's a lot of quality. So, touching on as you said with Stuttgart, there's 4 Stuttgart players in there, none of which have more than four caps. So that sort of shows again the pulling players in that have had good seasons. You've got Nicholas Fulkrug's got a great. I think he's like 11 goals he scored. Yeah,
Nico was great this season before. His relationship with Dukes at Bremen. It got in the move. It got in the move to Dortmund. Everyone laughed at it, and it was quite funny because Bayern actually were in for him at the beginning of last season. Everyone laughed at that, and he's had a good season. Thomas Muller's still there. Dennis Undav, he could have played for Turkey, but opted for Germany. And I think it might work out as a good decision. They've got young players in there as well, like Pavlovic. They've got experienced players in there, like Jonathan Tah and Tony Rudiger. So I think this is a really good opportunity for Germany to just be like, even though they're at home, there's no over pressure. They haven't played any competitive games of late, but although they did beat France, they bullied the Netherlands for a bit, I'm really gunning for Germany this year. There's also been in the press, like there's been a poll out because Manuel Neuer dropped a stinker the other day, and he is getting old. But 82% of the polled Germans want Mark ter Stegen to start, and there is every chance that he could end up coming in if Manuel Neuer drops a stinker against Scotland at the weekend. What's stopping ter Stegen coming in and being like, I'll take the reins here, and then going on for greatness.
And that Scotland game's key because that was where Italy's, as you said, pre-tournament with Italy, we all went last time, the squad's not, but they had a really strong first game, and then everyone started talking about it. And so that Scotland game could be, of course, Scotland have big shanks. If they play big shanks, everything's possible with big shanks involved. But whether they will or not, we will see. So it's an interesting one for Germany. Rebecca, coming to you on other. More importantly, what other Everton players are playing in the other? Who else are you supporting? Because you've got an Everton name in there.
I mean, you've got Vitaly Mykolenko playing for Ukraine, so favourite Everton player. So there is that. But then, to be highly honest, we don't have an Everton player in the Scotland team because he got injured. But I am kind of rooting for like an underdog story of Scotland going forward, just purely because they've not annoyed me.
I love the logic. I'm down with it. As long as they don't beat Germany, I'm good with everything else.
They can win every other match. We'll just leave it
That's
that
fine.
one.
Yeah, we could be friends, Rebecca.
Yeah.
That's fine.
It's happy days. There you go. They may carry on. Who knows? Who knows with the Scots? The Scots is interesting. Of course, agree with me. They have superstar striker Scott McTominay is there. It's an absolute battery man. Can you see any joy for the Scots? I mean, the group that they've also got, is it Hungary are in that group and Switzerland. Hungary were a funny one because they were in a bit of form. They dropped off recently, but. And Switzerland always have a bit of tournament nous, don't they? They're always pretty handy. They had a good Euros last time around. Do you think Scotland are going to go far, or is it 3 games and done?
Unfortunately, I do think it's 3 games and done. I struggle to see how it's nothing other than a Germany trouncing of Scotland on Friday. Opening game of the tournament, Germany going in looking pretty good. Scotland haven't really looked great recently. Of course, it's great that they've qualified, but yeah, I just don't think they've got enough to get over that Germany team. And like you say, I think Switzerland are looking good at the minute, and they always seem to click in tournaments, even if they're coming into it a little bit cold. And yeah, maybe they might nick a point or 2 off Hungary, but I just can't see them getting through, unfortunately. I think there's too much quality. There's definitely 2 good teams who will pick up at least 6 points there, and it's a toss-up between them and Hungary for bottom, I think. Sorry, Scotland.
Well, our Scottish contingent. And who elsewhere instead of tournament-wise, Grimmy, have you got your eye on to watch out for?
I mean, in terms of outside the obvious, like France and Germany, I think my probably next pick would maybe be Portugal, because I think their group is looking pretty it's not easy when it's an international tournament, but I think the quality of squad they've got and the depth they've got as well, I think they should get through that group pretty easily. And I think they can give anyone a game. And if they play England, they'll be getting through because we cannot get past Portugal in a knockout tournament ever. So, yeah. So I think Portugal are probably, I would probably say behind France and Germany, I would maybe put Portugal as third choice for me.
It's a good, strong shout. Portugal, that squad's just phenomenal. A lot of experience in there. I mean, no least, of course, Pepe still at 41 at centre-back. And everyone's going at 41. He was no joke in the Champions League the other week. He played, no one got any change out of Pepe. I mean, Gav, Portugal-wise, why do they excite you? What do you think's great about that Portugal team?
Because they have, once again, there's another team where they have got at least 2 players for every single position. They're interchangeable. They can play 4-3-3. If they want to play 3 at the back, they can. They've got a choice with 3 absolutely fantastic goalkeepers. They are, in my opinion, the most complete team that are going to be going into the Euros. The manager could be questionable, but I don't know what your relationship is there, Rebecca. Well, I don't want to upset you. Obviously, you're an Everton fan, former Everton man in charge.
Roberto Martinez, yeah.
But he is a manager who plays a control game, but also knows how to attack with it, so it can be exciting. It's unfortunate that, you know, personnel-wise, he's not always had the personnel. This time, I think he has. And they are going to go very, very deep into the competition. I think they're going to win it. I want Germany to win, but I think Portugal are going to do it.
I mean, yeah, just looking through the squad, I mean, it's borderline ridiculous when you kind of go through it. So you've got Patricio in goal, who's played over 100 caps. You've got Pepe. You've got Ruben Diaz. Dalot's had a good season at United. João Paulinho at Fulham, who's probably about to move to Bayern Munich. Ronaldo, obviously, just, you know, Cristiano Ronaldo's who's hanging about. Bruno Fernandes created more chances than anyone else in the Premier League this season. Bernardo Silva, magician. João Felix. You know, you've got in there, who else you've got? You've got Mateus Nunes, who's been at Man City, Rafael Leao, Ruben Neves still, Pedro Neto, Jota, Cancelo's still been playing at Barcelona. There's qualities, you say, depth all the kind of way through. So do you think
single position, Sam,
there's quality? Do you think the Ronaldo thing is going to help or hinder? Because I imagine he's probably going to start some, but are they going to play Ronaldo all tournament? Is he going to accept that? Is that going to be a distraction or a help?
Don't matter. I don't think he's overly selfish anymore. I think he knows how to invite the rest of the team into it. I think the only times there's going to be arguments is when there's a free kick on the edge of the box or if there's a penalty. You know, because Gonzalo Ramos, he hasn't had the greatest season, but he's still a kid. He's 22.
Yeah.
You know, and he also scored a hat-trick in one of the games in the World Cup.
He's got 8 and 13 for him, so international record strong.
Unbelievable record, mate. So like, there's a lot. I don't think it really matters who's going to be going into any position. You know, like I feel like if we flip it back to England, I could see fans just being like, "Oh, why has he started Conor Gallagher?" You know, why has he started Jared Bowen? Well, why is Bowen coming on for Saka? Oh, they're ruining it. That's not going to happen with Portugal. Oh, Ronaldo started because they've decided to go a 4-3-3, in through the middle, 4-2-3-1, whatever. And he comes off and they bring on Ramos. So, you know, Jota's come on for Leao. So, it don't matter. You know, like there's the quality throughout the squad is just so high and consistent all the way through. They're so strong. They've got, in my opinion, they've got a stronger squad than anybody else in this competition. I think they've got the strongest squad there.
It is a very, very strong squad, as you say. And because you can do that, they can flex positions. Is that maybe, do you think it's maybe more of an English thing, not just from the media, but also because our fans are very club-centric, aren't they? And it's very the player and the club. And you see so many players because they love that player, because he's their player at their club. It becomes, you see so many tweets and comments, and it's all about that guy's playing and he's our guy rather than what's best for the team. Do you think that's maybe where someone like Portugal, from a fan perspective are maybe more accepting.
That's how certain medias deal with certain things. You know, look at all the stuff from the friendly, the England game. You know, Saka being plastered all over every single newspaper article for England's incompetence when he played 25 minutes. But we haven't spoken about Kane shanking one from 7 yards out. You know, things like that. That shit don't happen. That shit don't run anywhere else. You know, so I don't see the other nations struggling with that. Other nations get behind their team. When they do well, they do well. When they don't do well, they do as much as they can to support. Yes, there's going to be arms of it that are going to be like, oh, you know, we should have won that. We should have done this and that, and the other. But that's not the majority, and it's not the collective mindset, you know. And also, I look at in terms of like squad selection, that side of things. I remember there was a bit of a civil war in Spain ahead of the Euro 2008 when Raúl wasn't selected for the squad, and everyone was kicking off because before the squad was announced, it was like, well, how are we going to fit Raúl, Fernando Torres, and David Villa into the starting 11? What's going to happen there? And then Raúl was dropped from the squad, and it was like, oh no, what are we going to do? Let's change the style of play a little bit, making sure that square pegs went into square holes, and they won it, and they dominated international football for 5, 6, 7, 8 years. So, and I feel like this, even though Ronaldo is still there and Pepe is still there, I feel that they are there for their experience and their quality, don't get me wrong. But if neither of them were there, I wouldn't feel that the Portuguese team is weaker. And that's the difference. Whereas if Kane was injured, or if Mbappe was injured, we would be like, oh, well, France haven't got anything to say. Oh, what's going to happen with England? You know, because they don't test different things out either. Kane starts like 90%, 99% of games if fit. So
he does. You're right. This is it. Have we got enough of the plans versus what? It's like Portugal, because when you look at that squad, you can see various different options. You say changing of formations and things. That's not something we know that Southgate's particularly strong at anyway. Going away from what his norm is usually. Elsewhere outside of, say, Portugal, I'll come to any dark horses, anybody that you think is going to surprise. Have you got any surprising teams on your mind, Grimmy? Anybody that you go, they're going to rip it up. They're going to do. We're not going to have a Greece 2004. Is someone going to shock the life out of us?
It's difficult to point out, really, because I think any dark horses, because I think the usual people you would say, I think people would say Portugal in past tournaments would be a bit of a dark horse, but because of how strong the squad is, you can't really pick them out. Croatia, I would have normally gone for maybe as a bit of a dark horse because they always go deep in tournaments when you think the squad's not going to do it. They might have a bit of a problem this time around with the group stage because it's a pretty strong group. Group B, I would probably call that the group of death at this point because it's Spain, Croatia, Italy, and Albania. And again, if you end up in that third place, you could end up getting one of the top draws or the top finishes in a group elsewhere. So I think it's kind of difficult to say that someone's going to go deep in a tournament, but maybe someone like a Croatia can do it again like they've done in the past. And, you know, Modric's last dance maybe might have a nice ring to it if they go far. But yeah, other than that, I can't really see anyone else because I think Belgium aren't necessarily that sort of golden era that they used to be. I think there's a few names out there now. But yeah, I think there's a bit of a gap between the top teams and then sort of the other half of it, where I think when you are maybe not expected to get through the group, it's because you are of a certain standard, like the Scotlands and maybe the, you know, Slovenias or, you know, people like that, really. Sorry to not really give you a proper answer, but
Everyone. Grimmy says everyone.
Everyone's got a chance. There's 24 teams there. To be fair, Grimmy. So well done for narrowing it down. Not playing with you.
No, sorry.
I'm sort of siding with Heather. And I always like to throw Switzerland into the hat. I'm a massive Bundesliga merchant. A lot of the teams, a lot of the players for Austria and Switzerland play in the Bundesliga. I think might be Austria's time to go a step ahead of Switzerland. I had Switzerland as my dark horses in Euro 2020, and I felt that Austria might be able to do some more. I think one team that could do a little bit of damage is actually Denmark, because no one's talking about them. And I think this is when they do best, when no one's talking about them. And they've still got weapons playing for them. And who knows, this might be the coming of age for Rasmus Højlund as well.
It could be. Let's not forget, so semi-final last time around, and for a penalty, that could have gone either way, to be fair, in extra time. Denmark, it was a very, very tight game and hung in there in what was a very difficult match for them in an away stadium, effectively in the semi-final. And they well performed in that game. And as you say, they've added to that squad since then. Højlund being one of them. They're not as reliant on your Ericssons and that as they used to be. Some talent coming through.
And also, you got to think, anyone who gets out of the group stage, it just turns into knockout football. And look at the World Cup. Who had Morocco to beat Spain?
It's about to, yeah. There's always one.
Things like that. Who had Switzerland to beat France in the last Euros? So these sort of things can happen, and it does end up getting into boring football mode of, well, we're not expected to beat these lots, so we're just going to sit back and put 2 banks of 5 in front, and let's try and nick it on pens. But who cares? Do you want to play good football, or do you want to win? And I was listening to a podcast earlier on today about 90s football with Paul Merson on it, and they were saying about how boring, how crap like the football was under George Graham at the Arsenal. But who cares? He won a shed load of trophies, and that's what it's about. This isn't like sports day. This is football. No one cares for taking part. You're there to win, and you want to win by any means necessary. So if you are gonna I would sacrifice playing terrible football for 3 group games, last 16 quarters, 7 games. 7 games of terrible football to win a trophy. 100% I'll take that. And there will be teams out there that will be doing that. Like, whether it will be like Georgia or Turkey or Serbia, Slovenia, Scotland, any of those teams, they've all made it. None of them have got there through chance. They've all had to go through some relatively tough qualifying. Scotland beat Spain. Let's not forget that. They're one of the first teams to qualify for this competition. So they're not there by hook or by crook. They've got there because they deserve to be there. The only team that have got there who, didn't have to do anything was Germany, because they're hosting it. Be struggle not to qualify, wouldn't it? How upset would that be? I'm having a house party, kids. I'm not going to be there, but
Yeah, the beer's in the fridge. Help yourself and have a cracking time.
Just save me a couple of cans for the morning and don't eat all my bacon.
This is it. There's always a team and there's always a difficult. I was just seeing that. I didn't know Georgia were managed by Willy Sagnol as well, legend of Bayern Munich in charge of Georgia. There's always a couple of teams that come from absolutely nowhere. And I mean, let's not forget when Greece won it, they stank the place out for the whole tournament, but they won. And that was a historic moment for them. Before we go away from anything else, anyone else wants to cover about the Euros with me on anybody else, any teams, any players, anything else, I'll open the floor. Grimmy, we'll start with you. Anybody your side, anything else before we go around the table?
Just going on to what Gav was saying there about playing badly and winning trophies and sort of that argument fans have about whether they want to play well or not. Why is it say for example, if Southgate had won the Euros last time out and playing the way he's done it, which is pretty pragmatic in the grand scheme of things, there's no sort of fun to watching England play at the minute. Do you think Southgate if Southgate goes and wins this tournament, do you think it's still going to be, well, you played a certain way, or do you think it's going to be, we've won the tournament, who cares? Because I personally think, because of how much, I suppose, toxicity, I guess, is the word I'm looking for around Southgate. I think no matter what he does in this tournament, he could go win that tournament and he'll still get criticised for how he plays and does this, that, and the other. Which personally, for me, I think stupid, because if you win the tournament, you won the tournament, like you say, Gav. But I just wonder what people's thoughts are on Southgate and sort of that area of his play. And if he does get results, does it really matter, really?
I think you'll get the mix. You'll get the... Do you know what I mean? You know what I mean? The agenda merchants, the ones that can't change their mind. I've decided on this guy, and whatever they do, it's it's like with a player that they won't. No, I don't like that player. Even if he goes and scores 40 goals in a season, I don't like him. You still get them, and then you'll get the people that are just too pissed and excited because you won the tournament to kind of care. I think, and then maybe somewhere, then you'll get the kind of sensible discussion in the middle. I mean, If he wins it, he's only the second England manager ever to win a trophy and get us. And then all that other stuff starts to come in about, well, he got close and it was building to this. And I think it changes the legacy a bit. And then maybe getting England over the line, then we go into the World Cup with more, I don't want to say confidence, but developing a new style with the nous of knowing how to win it. Do you know what I mean? A bit like France kind of, you feel, kind of has that they're clutch when it comes to the moments. They can get over the line and therefore they'll trust themselves to be a bit more. So let's find out. I mean, let's ask that question, shall we? Let's get to mid-July. You haven't won the tournament and we can ask that question. I certainly think so. I think that would be good. Yep. Rebecca, anything else Euros-wise anything else you're looking forward to? Or 3 games a day. I mean, that's great. That's brilliant for one.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, I've not missed football that much. I mean, going off last season with Everton, I've needed this break.
And then you do nothing but have a takeover every week.
Finally get us out of all of the topics and everything, and it's like, oh no, let's just add in this whatever it is, this massive takeover, and it's like, oh god, here we go again. I've actually enjoyed my break. I've been watching Stanley Cup, but no, as long as it's entertaining football from England, I'm not that annoyed. I mean, I'm gonna be bitter throughout the whole thing, saying Lewis Dunk makes a mistake. Jared wouldn't have done that. Jared would have defended that.
Jared could never.
Where was Dominic Calvert-Lewin on that corner? Come on, Gareth.
No, he's one. I'm glad he didn't get the call up, in terms of we've had him for the longest spell we have this season without injury. So give him the summer, let him have a break, and then get him back. And one thing I have seen with Everton fans and the Jared call up, lack of, is at least we can keep him for another year now, so the world aren't going to get to see Jared Branthwaite, so we can keep him for an extra season.
She's smart, man. She's smart. 100%. Ben White ain't there. I'm like, not a problem. Do you know what I mean? I'm really hoping England go out early doors. Saka, mate, go jump on the beach, bro. You know, I'm fine. You know, I hear it completely. Look, no one's talking about Spain, which worries me, because they are still stacked. But not in the way
the Nations League, didn't they? They won they're probably one of the most informed teams, perhaps.
Yeah, they're just not Iniesta, Xavi, Fabregas, Ramos, Raul anymore. So everyone just assumes that they're terrible. Them and the Netherlands. No one's talking about them either. No one's talking about the Dutch. So I think they're the teams to look out for. Teams that no one's talking about. Just one of those one eye open when you're sleeping ones, you know?
The sneaky ones, and Spain are always going to be a difficult team to get past and beat. They got Rodri in the bloody midfield as well, for crying out loud, and half of the bloody Real Madrid squad. So
yeah, we've got Rodri, Pedri,
Lamine Yamal's going as well. Is he going to explode?
He looks good. Yeah, Gavi, so. Yeah, it's not crap, is it?
It's not bad. It's not bad. It's not bad. There's plenty to go on. So it will be starting on Friday, and the final. I don't know when the final is. It's mid-July or something.
14th of July. It's my daily fitness test. That's why I know. Because whether I pass or fail that day, I am getting smashed.
And there's plenty of sport as well, because I'm pretty sure that's Wimbledon final, and it's possibly British Grand Prix, and they tie all the things together. So it's just
and
you need 7
midnight,
TVs.
Yeah, I think into midnight it's Copa America final, isn't it? Same sort of time. So yeah,
that'd be good, wouldn't it? We're all on a bender having watched England win the thingy, and then we've got Brazil Argentina at 1 o'clock or something.
Yeah, man. Week off, week and a half off, then the Olympics start. What a summer! What a summer!
What a summer. We are ready, and we are
and
here.
Tour is out.
And all
What
that
a
stuff in the
summer.
background.
I found out that the vote for that is when I'm at Silverstone.
You'll be fine. Do a postal one.
Yeah. They'll have a ballot in the pits or something. They could line everyone up.
Take a sheet. Silverstone is round the corner from my old house. Like there's a post office nearby. So literally, just take your thingy. There's loads of polling stations around there. You'll be fine. Don't worry about that. Tour is out.
It'll be sorted. It'll be sorted. Something that's not sorted yet, Rebecca. We'll come on to it, shall we? But it's more positive. There's positive news. Everton Takeover Weekly, as you give us the update. So we've obviously had the drama of 777 partners moving off. There's now bids on the table. There was a new one tabled, I think, yesterday. What's the state of play with Everton? How do you feel about it all?
It's exciting. I mean, I want to know where these have been. Like, why has it only just come out now? Because we went through the stress of 777 for so long. But, I mean, I'm glad that that's all over and done with. I mean, that was, scary for us in terms of we're already in a sticky situation as it is. So then to throw in someone like 777 who have issues themselves, it would have been even scarier for us. I know that there's a consortium of investors that have made a bid for 400 mil to buy Everton. And I think one of them is a Saudi royal family member. So there are quite a few wanting to buy us. There's the man from Crystal Palace, I forgot his name now. He's open to selling his shares in Palace to try and take over and buy shares in Everton. There have been a lot of talks of certain individuals wanting to buy the club only want us for a season. So they want to get us financially stable, get us into the new ground, get all that paid off, and then they'll sell us off. So they just want to try and build us up. But in terms of, Mashiri's listening to offers, which is all we can ask for as Everton fans. And it does seem, hopefully, if they are positive investors that do want to do right by the club, I'm all for it. But it is scary in terms of a takeover because it's for me, all I've ever known is Mashiri and Ken Wright and people like that. So it is a bit unknown. But hopefully, as long as we don't get anyone negative, and I know that that's always an issue that clubs face and always a thought in the back of your mind. But if they can get us back going and we don't end up with the season like we just have, because I cannot go through another 10-point deduction. It was horrendous. But hopefully things are on the up for us and we get financially stable again. But I know Mashiri has said that the club's still running, things are still looking all right even without the takeover happening. So while that is pending, we seem to be okay. But then you've still got all the talks of we've still got to sell someone to make sure we're within FFP. So you just
I'll give you 4 Freddos for a Nana and Jam Branthwaite and 20 quid. 20 quid and 4 Freddos.
It's about the price of 4 Freddos, isn't it now? Like
Look, that's what we're talking about. You know, they've got no money. Rebecca, if you don't mind me asking, how old are you?
19.
So you've never seen good Everton, really, have you? Like, and this is not me. This is not me trying to cook. This is not me trying to cook. It's actually quite sad because, like, my brother, my brother's going to be 27 in September. He barely remembers Arsenal winning the title, and like, I know they're different levels and stuff, but I'm 10 years older than him, so I've seen league wins, I've seen FA Cup wins, I've seen decent European runs, all that sort of stuff. He hasn't seen that. So, and he went through a long time of not seeing anything near it. I imagine your parents or older siblings are Everton fans as well.
Yeah.
So they'll remember Paul Rideout. They'll remember, and obviously you've seen it because, you know, you could go back and watch things, but you weren't there to witness it. And you weren't there to witness the 80s where, like, they won a league title and, you know, did well in European competitions and things like that. I saw something go out. I think it was midway through the season, just gone, about Everton potentially going down. How would you feel if Everton went down, but you knew, guaranteed, that they'll be bouncing straight back up doing a Leicester, so to speak? Just be able to see them win every week.
I know I enjoy, like, us being in the Prem. I mean, they've been seasons from hell, as like fans have described it, but it's been an adventure in itself. I mean, not many teams can say, like, oh yeah, we're going into last match of season, we're relegated at half time, and then Doucouré scores an absolute wonder of a goal. And you just, like, you don't experience Goodison like it. I mean, the Crystal Palace match when we were 2-0 down, came back to win 3-2. That is a memory that will stick with me forever. The whole of the pitch invasion, the players, like everything like that. And it's like, in terms of, I mean, like, I haven't seen the greatest times with Everton, but I wouldn't change it for the world. Into, like, we had Carlo Ancelotti. That was the best football I've ever seen us play. And
I was devastated when he went to you a lot because there was talks of Arteta or Ancelotti. I was like, why is he not coming to the Emirates? I was livid. You should see my tweets and Facebook posts from that moment on. Honestly, my head was swiveling.
But yeah, and it was like the players that we got from that. I mean, I never expected to say, oh yeah, we had James Rodriguez playing for him.
Yeah.
Like, him doing his no-look headers, I'm still confused by that. But it's like, I think the hurt of going down would be worse than, like, I mean, like, you would enjoy the feel of, oh, we've won the, like, championship and everything, but the memories that I've got, even in the years we've just had with the relegation, I wouldn't want to change. I mean, we survived, so I think that's the best thing. And this season, going into the Sheffield United match, was the first time in 2 seasons we've gone into a last match of the season without the fear and without anything like that. And the atmosphere was just, it was like a family up in top balcony. We're all there, like, just relaxing for once, rather than one person on one end yelling, we're down, another saying, oh, someone else has scored.
Got the old wireless out. Oh, there's been a goal somewhere else, you know. But no, we alluded to it earlier on in the show, didn't we, Rebecca? Like, the fact that defensively, you guys have been great.
Yeah.
I don't think there's enough credit. They've actually been really bloody good defensively. And the midfield isn't even that bad either. But there's not creativity in the middle of the park. And I think what needs to happen at Everton is, let's do a bit of scouting. Let's have a look around. You know, one day we could sort of like tying it back to England a little bit, because they could have picked Tyreek Mitchell at left back, but then that would have been too many Palace players, because one of the Palace players is Adam Wharton, who only in January was still playing the Championship and now he's on the plane. So that tells me that the Championship is a good breeding ground. You know, there's too much elitism going on in football nowadays. There's not enough. Let's look at the pyramid as a whole. You know, why don't we take a gamble on a club that is a little bit further down the pecking order and say, like, oh, well, this guy's bloody creative. Let's have a little pick on him. And I think Everton should be looking at sort of like teams that are, you know, not even mid-table, because Blackburn were dog shit this year, weren't they? They're absolutely dog shit. Sammy Smodic balling
Smollish
out,
and Wharton, yeah.
and Wharton. That's it. That's all they've got. Everyone else is dog shit there at Blackburn. So apologies to any Blackburn fans. No, there's no apologies actually. Fuck off. So, but like, there's other teams that are in like the sort of like mid and pushing for promotion teams in the Championship. Why not? Like, I know Everton haven't got a great deal of money, but you've got enough to get a 5 miller, a little 10 miller, you know, just get the scouts out there, man. I think there's an opportunity. I genuinely think there's an opportunity in the market for Everton to be looked at and admired again, the way that Palace are right now, and the way that West Ham have been over the last few years. Because I think I look at West Ham, Villa before this season. I look at West Ham, Villa, and Everton as three of similar type clubs in terms of what they offer to the Premier League. They are Premier League teams, as far as I'm concerned. They aren't traditional top six. They shouldn't be hanging around the relegation zone. They are mid-table teams that have an opportunity to progress if recruitment is done well. And I think once the financial crap has happened, I hope the takeover goes over. I hope happy days come back to Goodison for you. There's an opportunity to make things happen.
Yeah, I mean, like in terms of Everton, I think with Sean Dyche is one of the like best things for us. I mean, I don't think we'd have done what we did with the points deduction if we didn't have Dyche. One thing that has annoyed me a bit with Everton is we did our retained list for our academy, and we've let 3 of our biggest names go in terms of Lewis Warrington, Cal John, I think it was, and all the other names escape my head. It'll come back to me. But we've got like 3 of our main academy players that have now left. And Lewis Warrington was one. He made his debut in the last match against Sheffield United. And he's always been one that everyone has said, him coming up will be an incredible one for us. And now we've let him go. So it's a bit like of a shock. And then you look at players we have let go. I mean, Nathan Broadhead at Ipswich, Ellis Sims at Coventry. And it's like,
Sims,
if we could have held on to them just that bit.
John Joe Kenny.
Yeah, John Joe Kenny is another that I've always mentioned, and it's also
He did well in the Bundesliga. I like John Joe Kenny.
Yeah, another one that is Luca Dean.
Oh,
if it wasn't for us getting Rafa Benitez, he would have potentially still been at the club. But it was Rafa Benitez that drove our. No offense to Mikalenko, I love him, but he drove our greatest left back out of the club, and that has pained us since.
It's a key time for you, isn't it? And it is. I agree with Gav. Like I remember the era when the Premier League just kind of started, and Everton were one of the. They were a big club. They were one of the kind of. They were always in that kind of top. There's times that they were challenging in decent positions. I remember the '95 FA Cup win. That Everton side was such a dogged side, and Everton were always difficult to play against. They always had a strong mentality. Goodison was behind them. That feel in a club, and I just think if you can get some stability on the nonsense financial side, as Gav says, if you can get a little bit, because that bit of creativity spices the crowd as well. Defense is there, it's set. As long as you can hold on to, your Branthwaite holding on to it's probably the one of the big challenges you've got with where you're at with financial fair play, etc. But if it will start to get that crowd up again, and as you say, reach that, because they are, West Ham, Villa, and if you take away the points deduction, Everton didn't have a bad season for what they did. They've been absolutely crucified. I don't think they were that bad.
We would have been 11th, and that's like another thing with FFP. I think that's an extra 2 mil we'd have earned from this season, but because of what happened, we didn't get that, so it's annoying. But
I think keeping hold of Branthwaite and Onana takes you places. If someone comes in for a bid with Dominic Calvert-Lewin, take it. See you later. I don't think he is the player that is going to get you forwards. He's a good player, but he's not great, and he loves an injury. Just not worth it. I like Jack Harrison. I think he's got potential to really be a fan favourite at Everton. But a creative midfielder, and there's not many strikers out on the market anyway because everyone plays only like a single man up front. Like back in the day, every club had a minimum of 4 strikers because everyone played 2 up top.
Yeah.
But you know that don't happen anymore. I'm aware of it. I mean, like, Arsenal fans always like, oh well, we need to get 30 goal season striker. Who's that then?
Yeah.
Who's that then? Oh, it was like, well, Man City did it. Well, to be honest with you, they signed Haaland, great, but they actually scored less goals that first season when Haaland, when Haaland got the record. Yeah, City actually scored less goals that season than they did the season before with no striker, because everything then went through Haaland. I want someone who's going to come in and add. That player don't exist anymore. That's a unicorn footballer. So I think right now is a case of someone go get Sammy Smodic. Go get him. Or, go get Sims back if you can, obviously. And then, I think it's all about trying to find someone with a bit of creativity in behind who can make things happen. And I think that will, even though people will go, oh, but it's Sean Dyche. Sean Dyche can play some good football,
Yeah.
He's been limited. He was limited at Burnley. Like I fancy myself playing for. No, I ain't got the fitness for Burnley, but like I could have like fitted in at Burnley. I fancy myself. I'm way more creative than what Burnley were able to offer, But if they had a few more quid, Burnley, they could have actually done stuff, And I think the same with Everton. It's money thing. I understand that, but a decent scouting network, Everton would be all right, Rebecca. You ain't got anything to worry about.
I think, as Gav said, the Championship may be the way to go, because the other thing you've got as well with the Euros on, there's going to be a Euro tax on anybody who plays 1 or 2 decent games is suddenly going to be pumped 20 million, 25 million higher than what they originally were. So you're better off and get the deals done, because Euros is going to drag on into the July and. Well, sort the takeover out. Get some stability and see what happens. Grimmy, Premier League wise, I'll come to you now in terms of what's going on. Obviously, you are Manchester United. We're still none the wiser what the bloody hell is going on with managers and Ineos and all the rest of it. What's going on? what's your feel at the minute?
Same old, isn't it? At the minute, it's a head scratcher once again from the powers that be at Man United. I'm at this point, whether it's Ten Hag stay in or Ten Hag goes, I think we need to know what was happening at least a week or 2 prior to this. We're almost in the middle of June. No solid plan in terms of who the manager is. And of course, transfer activity is probably going to be limited between now and the end of the Euros, like you mentioned before. And we need to get players out the door, and we can't really start doing any of that until we decide who the manager is and what the plan is going forward. And I just think that it's been another summer of, I think, missed opportunities, the words I'm looking for, because I think if we just got everything organised early enough and just set out everything properly, even before the final, we were like, he's going or he's staying, this is who's replacing him. Or if he's staying, this is the plan going forward. I think it's a key element of what our summers have lacked over the past 10 years, really, in that we've always been scrambling at the end of it to get it sorted. We've never had a summer where we've got in by the middle of June or the pre-season starting at the beginning of July and gone, yeah, we have all of our players in. We have everything sorted. We've had a comfortable pre-season. Everyone's gelled together in time. And it's just been an absolute nightmare, really, most pre-seasons. And this pre-season looked like it's going to go the same way. Personally, I mean, I've said it to you, Sam, in private and chats and stuff. And for me personally, I'd keep Ten Hag. I don't know why it's taking as long as it is to make a decision on it. But they're doing their due process, I guess, and they're going to do what they want to do. They own 25% of the club and have sporting control, so what do I know? But yeah, it's just a total mind boggle being a Man United fan at the minute. Yeah, that's all I can say about it, really. I
think United have been harshly treated this season. What was it, 19 different centre-half partnerships?
Yeah, it was a crazy number. Yeah,
crazy.
Like
when Liverpool floundered, It was Van Dijk that was missing a couple of years ago. When Arsenal bottled it last season, it was Saliba missing. You know, Man United have not been able to name the same starting 11 in 2 consecutive Premier League games this season. So I think when you bear those things in mind, I hate defending other clubs like this, but I'm football first. I'm football first. That's what it is. Once fans in particular, because it's the fans that get riled, and then the media start chatting, and you know the owners start seeing what the fans and the media are saying, and you know then they make decisions. It all just goes into a mad circle of doom. But I just feel that if that mindset was looked at more, you'd give Ten Hag till at least Christmas. At least under new ownership. Yeah, they want to bring their new people in. Who cares? Just give him a chance. Bit like they did that the same with Mark Hughes, didn't they? At City. They had the new ownership in. They were like, well, he's not our guy. Well, yeah, we'll give him a chance. Let's see what he could do first. You know?
The thing that makes me laugh about this whole process with Ten Hag is that Ratcliffe was on record on I think it was like a cycling podcast or something a few months back. He was saying that he basically praised Arsenal for sticking with Arteta because of his 2-8 finishes or whatever. And I was like, oh, okay. That was sort of a sign to me that maybe, you know, Ten Hag is going to get a stay of execution, get another chance next year. And then it's like we're almost 2 weeks now from the cup final having been done and dusted. And it's like, well, why is there nothing coming out of the club in terms of a decision? And again, it may be we never get to hear a decision because they might just say, well, if we don't say anything, he's still here, then we don't have to say we don't have to admit that we've been trying to make a decision or whatever. But I think that just weakens his position in terms of his strength as a manager and be able to tell players what to do and instruction players going into next season, because the players will know he's hanging on by a thread anyway if they don't come out and back him. So, yeah, but
I think I've got a feeling that the FA Cup final is a massive spanner for them, because
massive spanner.
They thought there's not a chance in hell that United were going to beat that City team on that day with coming back in. So they had it all set up. We're going to get done in the final, probably well beaten, and we'll chop him. And the final they won, they were like, well, the one thing we've said is we've got to sort the chaos out from what happened before. And they're thinking about, obviously, we sacked Louis van Gaal after the FA Cup final. And I think they just went, we can't do it now. And now they're in that limbo situation because the reaction and the fan base is the Ten Hag in's kind of a little bit more from that side. Everyone wants to see a bit of stability. And I think it really has just and they're stuck in limbo. They're stuck in limbo and trying to sort of evaluate all angles, which isn't really, it's causing more uncertainty, which is exactly what they said that they weren't going to do. So.
But the thing is as well, what it's done is it's removed all momentum that you could have got from that final win. Because you could have literally gone within the next week of that final win, you could have gone, he's staying, this is the plan. Yeah. And now we're getting on with it over the summer now. You've taken all that, you've taken away all that momentum by dilly-dallying over whether he's staying or not, and you could have just had it done and dusted. Even if you replaced him, you could have still had continued momentum and gone, right, thanks for your 2 trophies and your 2 years with us, Eric, but we're going to go our own way, bring a new guy in, start the summer off the right foot and get on with it. But no, nothing like that.
You won an FA Cup and got rid of Van Gaal like the day after, you know. So it's not like there's no history in this happening. I think the issue here is because I remember I really wanted Arsenal to get rid of Wenger from like 2008. It's been well documented on social media for years, but I remember he was clever. Wenger, he used to sign a 2-year contract every odd number year, and we were never going to sack him. And it's like, oh, now we've got to wait until the end of that odd number year. But what managers are going to be available? And there was, I think it was like 2016, or 2014 or 2016. There were some names that are out there, and in club football and international football. So it makes you think, oh, merry-go-round. Right, Wenger leaves, they come in, that person leaves their current role. So, like, for argument's sake, because I really wanted Simeone in 2016, I think that would have worked out terribly, but at the time, that's what I wanted. So Simeone would have come in, Wenger would have left, Simeone would have come into Arsenal. Who's going to take that vacant spot at Atletico? And then round we go. This time, there's not really many managers that make you think, oh, yeah, I really want that manager at my club. And even at international level, what international managers are out there that make you think, oh, I really want him at my club? There's not many. And that's where the problem lays. So do you, like, of the managers that are available right now, do you go and get Luis Enrique, who, did all right at Barcelona, hasn't really done much since, let's be honest, because any one of us in this panel and anyone in the chat could go to PSG and win a title. Let's be honest. Yeah. Do you then go out and get De Zerbi, Palermo failure? That's not me being bitter at him. That's more me bitter at Zamparini back in the day, but that's a different story for a different day. Do you go out and get a Tuchel, who is a good gaffer, but will need time, money, and is more there for competition rather than for league titles? Zidane, but he hasn't managed for a couple of years. Like, there's the names are out there. Pochettino, the names are out there, but is that Man United? Or do Man United then have to take a little step back and be like, right, we are not Man United of 10, 15 years ago anymore. We are now a different entity completely. We're a club that's challenging for a Champions League position. So we need a manager that does that.
It's difficult, isn't it? It is difficult because it's, as you said, those names there are, and as you say, you're not convinced that they're better than what you've got. And in that case, then you stick and you see, as you said, there's always the change, you get to December and it's still not happened. The centre-back partnership's there. I guess then you've got to go through a summer of spending money, which they've got to do better anyway. That's not, just on 10 August, the club. Recruitment's been absolutely shocking. And you can see at the minute, there's also a bit of they've got to move some players out the door and they've got to get some fees and see where they're at. You've got Jadon Sancho, obviously Mason Greenwood, there's Casemiro, there's a couple of things that need to move in place there. So they need to, but then you need to be heavy in what's coming in new. Obviously, Jason Wilcox has come in. We already started to see one or two things. I think he got rid of Fernandes, didn't he, the young left back? But we've actually put some clauses on that contract for the first time in God knows how much.
Yeah.
No, I wish Arsenal did that. Jesus Christ.
Well, we haven't done it for over 10 years, so we're only just learning the lesson now. So
this is everyone playing Football Managers going, put a damn clause in the contract.
Yeah, 100%.
What's going on there? But we'll see what happens with Man United. But we'll finish on, Gav. We'll give you, because we haven't spoken to you since the end of the season. We've got to come to Arsenal. How are you feeling?
Let's watch, guys. You can follow me on Twitter at GavBack23.
They won the title. Let's change the narrative.
Hey, look. Let's look at it the way that this show does European Roundup. Yeah, if you take PSG off, we won the league.
Very true. That's very true. If you take the 115 charges
where
out
was
of the
Josh
league,
man? Honestly, like, I could really have done with him tonight.
I mean, to be fair, we spoke to Lucas briefly about it, and I think we will kind of, if you look at the season before, then I think it's fair. There's a mix of Saliba was injured, and there was kind of the bottle statement. You can't say that about this season. I think they did everything they needed, but it was the finer details, wasn't it?
Yeah, I mean, like the season before, even asked the most diehard Arsenal fan where they thought Arsenal would be. Like, no one would have had them in the top 3, let alone in first position for a long period of the season. I feel like if the way that we played the first season that we came second recently, if we play like that with this season's mentality, I barely think we would have lost a game, let alone anything else, because the way that we were playing was phenomenal. But then you could say that with the back end of this season as well. Like we dropped points in 2 games. 2 games in 2024. Everything else, our away form, unreal. Something that we've always struggled with. It's the home form which normally just carries us through. We were scoring goals for fun. Clean sheets, but by slapping in 4, 5, 6. And then, I just think, I don't know. I don't know if it ran out of steam or complacency. Like, I looked at that City game and was like, I don't know if this is a good point or not, but I still looked at City thinking, right, we know they're in steamroll mode, but there will be a banana skin. And there wasn't. They won. They won every single game other than ours. Because I looked at Fulham at home, unreal this season, especially against the big clubs. Yeah, battered them. Yeah. Palace were brilliant under Glasner. Yeah, Palace went 1-0 up in that game, didn't they? Yeah, battered them. So it's just what City do. And it's almost impossible to get them out of that mode. They're literally like an avalanche. As soon as that first bit of snowball starts going, that's it. The whole thing's coming down and coming for you. And you've got nothing. There's nothing you could do about it. And like the fact that we took 4 points off them this year, is giant progress. It's not good enough though. It really isn't good enough. I'm not taking that as a win. I'm taking that as progress. And I'm happy to be progressing. But there will be a time where we need to say, well done for your progress. When are you going to start bringing some fucking silverware? Because I want to close off Caledonian Road. I want to close off, I want to close off Hornsey Road. I want to get stuck in traffic down the A1, trying to get down and, have a load of beers, celebrating my boys lifting the title. But to be honest, if someone said Arsenal could win the title or Palermo get back into Serie A, I think I would actually take option 2. Because Man City's money is going to make us a fucking powerhouse, but we just need to get there in the first place. So I don't mind Man City winning. It's not a problem. I benefit from Man City winning, and when Man City lose, Arsenal benefit as well. So I'm good.
There you go. With Man City, you can caveat it. That's how I always say. You can always caveat with Man City. It gives you that. But who's not a caveat? It's Claire Jeffs is with us in the chat. Very Claire Jeffs has joined us. She is beyond, way more than. She is the champion of League Two with Stockport County. She knows what it's like. She's got silverware in her cupboard. She
couldn't give a shit about League Two anymore.
Exactly. League Two is beneath
League
her.
Two? What is League Two, huh? I don't know.
It's beneath her. She's gone on to bigger things. So I think we've done the Premier League. I have a question that I'm going to throw at you. You're going to have to deal with on the spot. I've just made it up, just come up with it, and then we'll go to the socials, etc. I'm going to throw it out there. I was thinking about this a few days ago. I thought I'd ask it. So effectively, I was thinking, what goals that I loved? What goals did I love from teams that I don't support or have any affiliation with? What goals just make me go, oh, that was just filth? Like the classic World Cup goal or something somebody had done. The stuff out of I can see. Look at the ponderous faces. Look at the ponder, and this is for you in the chat as well. What's the goal that you enjoyed that wasn't one of your teams or England or anything like that?
Does it have to be a rival?
It can be anybody you like. It can be a rival. Can be a team you've got. It could be Wraith Rovers in the '94 League Cup.
It's not a. It's actually an ex-Palermo player, but he was playing for Fulham at the time, and it's Kasami.
Oh yes,
I don't remember what it was against, but he absolutely twatted that bastard. And what a goal! That and the Peter Crouch, where he's sort of like for Stoke, where he's flipped over a couple of players and it's sort of like beautiful, 2 beautiful goals. Beautiful goals.
They were 2 beautiful goals. That's very true.
Non-Arsenal goals.
No, they were beautiful goals. Who's Grimmy, Rebecca? Anyone's coming to mind for you?
Literally, as Gav said it, the Crouch one came into my mind when he flicked it up against City and just. I would actually one that's just popped into my head that's quite not similar, I guess, but Cese's against Chelsea when he was like almost at the throwing line and just somehow managed to volley it and swerve it into the top corner. That's that one sticks out in my head as a good example of that.
Grimmy, at that point, that wasn't even the best goal of the night until that happened.
Yeah,
Because I remember Spurs were playing against Bolton, and
Yeah.
Luka Modric scored an absolute worldie. Like, it couldn't have gone any further in the corner of like the post in the, like, as the Americans call it, the upper 90. It couldn't have got any closer than skimming it. It was the perfect curl all the way around, because that was the game that was on TV, because the Newcastle Chelsea game wasn't. And after the game, whoever was in the studio was like, well, we've seen a wonderful goal today, but if you think you've seen a wonderful goal already, wait until after the break. And so we're waiting for after the break. What the fuck's going on here? And then you see that go in. It's like,
that was astonishing.
Wild.
Astonishing goal. An astonishing goal. Have you got any others, Grimmy, or is that it for CC?
One goal I always begrudgingly like was against Man United, and it was Thierry Henry.
Oh yeah, that
back
was
to
filth.
goal,
That was filth.
flicks it up, puts it over Fabian Barthez's noggin. Just unbelievable. Yeah,
that was filth.
I hated it at the time as a child when I was watching it as like a 9-year-old watching it, but looking back now, I appreciate it very much, because it's just
that was one of those. Oh, you bastard!
yeah.
Oh.
But why did it have to be against us? Yeah, he could have done it against anybody else.
How dare you?
Yeah.
one thing I love when I'm refereeing, is when someone scores a worldie. But like, I'm like sort of like jockey behind. I'm like, smash it, and they do, and they score. I'm like, whoof. And I feel like I'm celebrating with them, you know? or when like someone scored like a goal which I've played an advantage from. So I've got like play an advantage, and I put my arms out, and then they go on and score it as I'm still running. A bit like that, you know, when Mike Dean, that shit happens. That is a genuine thing, because when, like, especially when you're like grassroots or semi-pro level. I'm semi-pro now again, by the way, kids. Cheers. When you've got an assessor in the stand watching your game, and you've played on advantage, and they score from it, you just want to celebrate with them. You look up to the assessor, give him a little wink, thumbs up. You saw that fucker, didn't you? Yeah. and then afterwards, go back to the player who made the foul, yellow card for him as well. Whoa, the assessor's like, tick, 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 motherfucker.
I'm just sauntering Conor McGregor style.
Conor McGregor, like.
absolutely nailed it.
Brilliant.
That's quality, the old celebration. I suppose if you went off and celebrated, you could whip the shirt off, and then no one can book me. I can go full liver on the rest.
Book myself.
Yeah.
Warning, internal warning. Calm yourself down. So yeah, Rebecca, we'll come to you. What goals did you recall? What goals that you can remember?
I mean, it pains me to say it, but Garnacho's against us. I mean, it pains me to say it, but what a goal that was. I mean, that's like the main one that stands out. I'm trying to think, but then all of the ones that I'm thinking, I was like, oh, either we scored them, either Everton or Accrington, and I can't say them all.
I thought you were going to say Everton, look, they were for us or against us. That's what I thought you were going to say. Sorry, love.
A classic against. The one for me, there's one player. I've got three actually. I'm going to cheat. I'm the host. I can do what I like. There was one player who scored two, one internationally and one for a club. Holland versus Argentina. Unbelievable. That goal, you know it, Gav. That it was just the
big Frank de Boer left peg long
80-yard launch, and then it's the fact that there's three touches, but the first touch is like two touches, isn't it? He brings it down, and then the same movement is brought it through the legs, and then calmness personified was something else
outside the peg.
Oh, it was beautiful in the World Cup. And the other one is one that I play tennis, and I'm quite good at dealing with spin, I think. And Dennis Bergkamp scored that goal against Newcastle, where I still cannot work out how he touched it with his foot and got the movement of the ball that he got when he knocked it around one side of the player, span around the other side. I still I've watched it a million times. I'm still going. It baffles me.
It makes me vomit when people say that was fluke. There is no way a magician like that can make a fluky move. If it was fluke, do you really know which way he would be running? Yeah, that's what I do. Yeah. Performer. That's what I do, Claire. That's what I do. I hold my mic like this, you know. Yeah, the fact that he knew which way to spin to evade the defender, because if he followed it on, he would have been taken out.
Yeah.
Ball goes that way. Defender's like, oh yeah, where's he gone? Nah, guy's absolute genius.
It's a genius. The fact it was the inside of the boot touch to get, and it wasn't even like that to flip it back, reverse. It kind of had like about 3 spin kind of movements on it. It's just, it's still to me now, it doesn't get the credit I think it deserved as a goal when you talk about, because everyone loves the pingers, but that was just genius at work. And the other one for me was Hampden Park Champions League final, Zinedine Zidane's volley against Bayer Leverkusen, where Roberto Carlos smashes it up in the air on his left foot. I mean, Zidane was phenomenal on both feet, but it hung up there forever, and it was a volley up here with his left foot. Just, it's one of those that I think Clive Tilsley was a commentator, and all he just went was Zidane, and then there was just this, ooh, the whole kind of crowd went, what have we seen?
Sam, I'll watch that game. I'll watch that, not the game, I watched that goal back on Champions League final day last week or so. Don't you think? Well, I'm not taking anything away from Zidane.
Yeah, where was the defender?
Where was the defender? The ball's in the air for so long. Your man sat down, opened one of those like James Richardson Gazzetta Soccer Italia like broadsheets, got himself a cappuccino, sparked a cigar, waiting for that ball to come down. He had all the time in the frigging world.
He did. But the only thing I can think is the defender went, jog on. All the best. All the best. And he nailed it.
Against the Ballon d'Or winning, fucking Ballon d'Or winning, record signing ever player. Nah, that's it was poor form. Poor form from Leverkusen then. They were at their wits' end anyway. They'd lost the Pokal. They lost the title on the last day of the season. They're in shit street. But can't remember the name of the goalkeeper, but he went off and Casillas came on, and he had a worldy 20 minutes there as well. But like for me, goals, the best goals are slaps from 20 to 30 yards out. They're my favourite goals. One of my favourites for my club is Aaron Ramsey against Galatasaray, where the ball's been cleared out from a corner and he's hit it with his wrong foot, and it's just gone like this, like upward trajectory. And if the net weren't there, it would have gone out the stadium and it would still be rising now, because it was just beautiful. And Wayne Rooney against Newcastle.
With the anger, it was just the angry fire off of his foot. And he's still mouthing off as it goes in the back of the net. And he
my sort of favourite of that sort of era is Scholes' volley against Villa, when he just cannons it off the bar and it just smacks in.
Scholes gets Bradford. Ooh.
Yeah.
It's the cross the bar, isn't it? The Tony Yeboah, as we used to call it.
Yeah, it's what we're talking about. Pace.
Rebecca, get on the Premier League archives. I'm telling you,
Get it done. Honestly, that's your graft until the next show. Literally, just Premier League world. In fact, I think it's search goal of the month December 2006. That's what I'm saying.
Better homework for next week. There you go.
I'll find a link for it and I'll put it on the thread of the show.
Yeah.
There you go.
Best 10 goals you'll see. And that was just goal of the month. That was just December. Wow.
Corker goals. We all love a good goal. And we love a podcast together. Thank you everybody for being with us tonight. It's been a bloody pleasure, no doubt about it. Thank you everybody in the chat as well. We'll go round, of course, and we'll give everyone a spot to promote what you got going on as well. You're a podcaster and you have a podcast. Tell us about your podcast.
Yeah, I've also just recently started up a football podcast with my good friend, or our good friend, I should say, Sam Mulch. It's called Got the Ball Ref. not in any way aimed at Gav and his refereeing standards or anything like that. But yeah, so yeah, I've started that up recently, up on YouTube and Spotify and all those good places. So if you want to check that out, feel free. Greatly appreciate it if you did.
Absolutely, and thank you so much for joining us, Grimmy. Been a absolute pleasure as always. And of course, Rebecca, you've been blogging, you've been creating, you've been busy. Tell us what you've been up to and where everyone can check out your latest skills.
Yeah, so I've just started up my own website with my blog on it. So it's going to be talking everything from Formula 1, 2 and 3. And then I'm also going to be bringing in a bit of Everton, doing a season wrap-up on there. So that'll be an interesting one. There's going to be some exclusive content coming up soon with an interview with an esports driver, which is very exciting. But yeah, so that is Goal to Track, and that is on Instagram and Twitter, and then the link to the website's there. So very busy few weeks coming up.
Magic, of course. And as we call you in your Rebecca Undershaw, as you've been known for the underscores in your tag.
Love that. I love that.
Has become the new nickname. Thank you so much, Rebecca, for joining us. And of course, incredible. And we haven't had the chance to congratulate you, Gav, on your level 4, is it now?
Back to level 4. Back to level 4. So yeah, that's step 5 on the old list. So I'll be doing like Southern League, Northern League, Isthmian lines again after 8 years out. And I've only been back for 8-9 months. So it's good. But yeah, I don't really podcast anymore. I just like to chat shit with you guys, to be honest. So yeah, I like chewing the fat. That's what it is. I don't have the time, energy or patience to do what you're doing. So like congratulations to all of you guys for doing what you're doing and applying your trade and just allowing me to come onto your platform. So appreciate it. So but if you ever want to see me share funny things, chat shit about football and blast the Tories and the Reform Party, then follow me at GavMac23. There you go.
There you go. There's your promotion. Check it out. It's always a pleasure to have you on, mate. And hopefully you'll be back with us soon. I'm sure plenty going on. We're still going on through the summer, so I'm sure we'll have plenty of opportunities to talk to Gav. Yeah. And some of you want to follow me. I've had a rebrand this week because I was up the FM Ducks, but the duck is not dead. The duck is just moving on because it doesn't make any sense now. I'm not doing Football Manager content, so I am now Sam Absolute FBL here on. It's not here, but on Twitter, on TikTok, and I've also got at Sam Absolute EFL, which I'll be doing EFL updates, news, and stuff on TikTok when I get the time, when stuff happens, because I've got to work, pay the bills, and all that business. So it'll be every now and again. And of course, most importantly, the podcast socials. Look at all those smiling faces that we have on the podcast, and the many brilliant people we have on the pod, and of course the super guests as well that we have and that join us. So we are the Absolute Football Podcast. Mondays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays. We are back this week with both the WSL and the lower league. Freya was unfortunately on holiday, and poor Shah wasn't very well. So get well soon, Shah. We all want you to be well and ready again for the Rowdy Rabble, because there's only one person who can control the Rowdy Rabble on a Thursday, and that is absolutely Shah. On a Wednesday, we have the WSL show and Women's Championship. They're going to be talking about women's football topics throughout the summer. They'll be back on Wednesday, and on Thursday, a lower league where they're just going to be just chatting the fat again, chatting what's going on, lower league, transfer news, quizzes, nonsense, whatever comes up their sleeve, really. We'll be carrying on to the summer. And on Mondays, it's the Absolute Premier League show, but kind of absolutely Euro 2024 as well. So we'll be tabs on what's going on in the tournament, and now, of course, how England are doing and how Southgate is doing as well. That tends to dominate a lot of the chat, that is for sure. So thank you, everybody. And also check out our latest show as well. We've got Maidstone United, recorded with Ben. I recorded with Ben last week. Absolutely enjoyed it. He talks about everything Maidstone United's season. Of course, they had that incredible victory over Ipswich, and he tells a very interesting story of where he was the night before with Georgia Lacobi before the night of the match against Ipswich, which is well worth a check out.
I love that shit.
Yeah. Which is just epic. So do check that out for that story just on its own. But of course, thank you to everybody in the chat. You make it brilliant. Mr. Luke says, fantastic listener. As always, great show and see you on Thursday. Pleasure. Thank you for joining us. Thank you to everybody who's taken the time to listen to us and support us still. And as Josh said, if you're not, hit that likes button, hit the subscribe button, because an angel gets its wings. An angel gets its wings, and that's what we want. We want angels with wings. That's the dream. So for now, thank you, everybody. Appreciate you, and have a wonderful week. See you on the next one.